Steven Edwards, a.k.a. Breadman. How you doing, Coach?
Hey, how y'all guys doing, man?
We're good. We're good. Well, I wanted to have you. Obviously, I've been
Yep.
following your fighter's career for so long, Kyrone Davis, and he had a big opportunity over this past weekend, and just wanted to get your takes on the fight and what you thought he did well, if anything, and how we'll start with that.
Um, I mean, it was a tough fight. We knew what we was up against, even taking the fight. I'm proud of him, but I don't want to get into a point of, being happy with a consolation prize because, we were there to win. That's why he fought so hard. He really believed he could win and he really wanted to win. But it was a tough fight and we learned about the fight on October 22nd. I'm sorry, October 27th. So I had 17 days to get him ready. And, he wanted to go on, but I just felt like that that he probably wouldn't be able to get a second win with the punishment he was taking. And he thought that he could. I thought that I didn't know if he could, and I didn't want to chance it. So I decided to stop it. I was a little frustrated, because I just want to get him a fair shake. I want to get him a fair camp against a 160-pounder. But it's been hard, man. We've been having to take fights on short notice at 168, so hopefully, I could just get him, 6 weeks against, I'll fight guys like Munguia or Derenchenko, let one of them pick on him. If he fights at 160 pounds and we get a fair notice for camp, I'm with those kind of fights. So that was really kind of frustrating to me. I was just thinking about, like, man, this kid gets some tough matchmaking. But, it's boxing. You can't feel sorry for yourself. You got to push through whatever you're going through. And, but I'm proud of him, man. I thought he handled himself well considering the circumstances.
And you said you had 17 days to prepare him, but is Kyrone the type of guy to stay in the gym? Were you seeing him a few days at a time before then, or was it like you guys got the call and then he had 17 days to get prepared for the fight in general?
Well, that's a good question. Being in the gym and getting ready for a fight are two different things. So he got hired for camp out there with Crawford. So he was boxing, but he wasn't working out and he really wasn't cutting weight. So he was away in camp when I got the call. And I was like, oh, shit, man, and I called him. And I'm like, man, I know you've been sparring. I mean, because an experienced fighter can walk off the street and spar 4 to 6 rounds. You know what I mean? People think that they can't, but they can. But that's different than working out, running twice a day, eating and doing everything. So once that happened, he had to come home and we had to, step up the camp a little bit. So he was in the gym. He was boxing Crawford maybe 2-3 days out of the week. I think the sessions was about 3 or 4 rounds. But, it's just a little different when you're getting ready for a fight.
And can I just ask something? Where after this loss, where would you go after this? Is there anyone that you have in mind, or any route or any strategy you have in mind coming off a loss? Could you make the loss a positive out of a negative? I'm asking, basically.
I would want him to fight at 160 pounds. And like I said before, I'll fight guys like Jamie Munguia. I'll fight Derenchenko with him. I'll fight whoever at 160, to be honest with you. I just would like to get him a 6-week camp so he can get, proper time to prepare for the fight. But I'll fight whoever at 160 pounds with Kyrone. At this point, there's no ducking and dodging. He'll fight whoever he has to fight. But I would like the fight to be at 160 pounds.
Okay.
So, Coach, I told my audience that I would ask because, you see, I was getting you on for the Davis fight, and obviously when I met you, you were training or you were Ken's second. So I just wanted to know, was that your first start as a trainer with Ken? And I figured it'd be good since it's fight week, but now, the truth is you've just let us know which we heard last week that Kyrone was in camp with Crawford, so it works to have you on multiple ways. But I do want to know for myself and for the audience, your start, was it with Ken or was it before that?
It was before that. I was training Julian Williams since 2010. I met Kenny Porter about maybe 2011, 2012. Actually, me and Julian attended one of Sean's fights in Salisbury, Maryland. And I was like in the crowd, but I was like yelling instructions out to Sean. And Ken was like just liking the vibe that me and Sean had. And then we worked together for a couple of fights. But I was already training Julian Williams, a few years before I hooked up with Kenny Porter.
And what could you tell us about Sean? I mean, obviously, it looks on the outside looking in like he's always in shape. He's going to let his hands go. But I've been reviewing a lot of his tape, most recently the last 3 fights. And while that is the Porter style, like you know what you're going to get, he's not the most accurate puncher, it looks like, from the naked eye. We went over the punch stats, and that could even tell a different story. But what's your thoughts on his accuracy, and what could you tell us about Sean as an individual, and anything that has to do with fighting, though?
Well, he's a high character kid in the ring. He's one of those kids that he squeezes all of his ability out to get the best possible results. He is hardworking. He is well conditioned. His dad stays on him. I think it breaks the myth of father-son teams not being able to work, because your dad can kind of a fighter who has his dad over top of him, whereas just a coach that you're seeing in the gym for a couple hours a day, your dad can make sure you eat certain things. He can make sure that you stay away from women, stay away from distractions. A lot of things that your dad can kind of do that a coach isn't always able to do. So, I think that broke the myth. That breaks, one of the myths that father-son teams can't work. Because if you notice, there's a lot of father-son teams in boxing. So Sean is a high character kid. He's very physically strong. He has a lot of pedigree. He's fought some of the top amateurs in the world, and he's done well at the highest international and national amateur level. But you are right; he's not an accurate puncher. I think that's probably his biggest flaw. I think his body's always moving all over the place, so he really doesn't hit you clean with the money shot, as we call it, right on the sweet spot. You don't see him knock a lot of guys down or score a lot of highlight reel type of combinations that you would see with other elite fighters. He makes up for it in other areas, but he's not the most accurate puncher in the world. And Crawford is, so that's a big advantage that Crawford has over Sean, their punch accuracy. So that's a good pickup on you, Ness. He definitely does have a problem hitting people super clean.
Now, obviously, the people, that are hoping Porter wins are hoping that the fact that Bud hasn't been in there with an elite welterweight or someone like Sean means something. Again, as a coach, seeing what you see from Crawford, is that going to even matter?
I think that people just like to nitpick and say certain things. Experience matters, but oftentimes it could be overrated, Ness, because a lot of it comes down to, some guys will have better resumes, right? But those guys are able to get better fights. More people will fight them. You know what I mean? So, Crawford doesn't have the greatest resume at welterweight because people aren't willing to fight him. That counts a lot. I think that his experience is fine. I think that he's the best fighter in the world right now. And that's just that. I think that that's just something. Like, people try to talk about Jerron Ennis like not having no experience. And I would just be like, well, get one of these welterweights to fight him then, since y'all think that means so much. Get one of them to sign up and fight him since you think he don't have no experience and he's so green. It's just something that people say, but Crawford has enough experience. He has almost 40 fights. He has a great coaching staff. He has enough experience to he'll be fine as far as moving forward in different fights. He's seen enough of the things that he needs to see in the ring.
And I wanted to double back to when Kyrone went to spar Crawford. As a coach, obviously you were busy because I didn't hear you preference it as if you were there. But did you regret not being there to soak in and to see your fighter, how well he did? And I don't know, for me, I'm assuming you would want to, I guess, soak in and learn from that coaching team, or does that not interest you? And maybe interest is the wrong word to use, but you get what I'm saying.
When they were younger, I would like travel around to camps and things like that. I just can't be in more than one place at one time. When Crawford was in camp, when Kyrone was in camp with Crawford, I was training Julian Williams, so I can't, you know what I mean? I can't be in more than one place at one time. But Kyrone's fine in camp. He sparred some great fighters in camp. He's been in camp with Triple G, Demetrius Andre. I did fly out to watch him spar Triple G, but he's been in camp with Andre, Lara, Lubin, Adrian Broner. So he's been around. He knows his way around camps. I just couldn't be there. You know what I mean? It's not a matter of regret. I was just training another fighter, and Kyrone went to camp. So that's just that.
Understandable. So before I let you go, obviously you got Cassius Chaney now. How's that situation going? That's your first heavyweight, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's going good, man. It's going
you're tall,
good.
so it's not a big difference. Or obviously it's got to be on your shoulders and elbows when you're doing power work, but have you found it to be a big difference? Because you're a pretty tall man.
Yeah, I'm 6'3". You know what? It's not that bad on the pads. That doesn't really affect me. I know how to catch the pads in a way where it doesn't really affect me. With the body armor, though, or the circle shield, you feel a big difference because he's such a big guy. So you feel it with the impact of that, not so much the pads. But training the heavyweight, believe it or not, is more just catching their rhythm. And, because it's slower and you're working their cardio a little bit different because they can't really do the things that 122, 126, 130 pounds, things like that. Even the things that Julian and Kyrone could do, he's just a bigger man. He's lugging around more mass. So you got to be a little bit more patient in that area as far as getting them in shape. Can
you be a little more specific? Obviously, me being as big as I am, it's intriguing to know what your do's and don'ts are for the big men.
Okay, I'll tell you two things. Like the rhythm and the amount of punches that I may have Kyrone and Julian throwing on their pads, I can't do that with Cassius. I got to keep it a little bit more, I got to keep it more efficient. So it's more of a jab, right hand, left hook, jab, hook, right hand, and you calm the pace down a little bit. He doesn't go at the faster tempo that the smaller guys do. And when we go to run and things like that, where they may do, 400s, which is like one sprint around the track, they might do theirs in like 103, 104, 105. His is, obviously a few seconds slower because he's a bigger guy. So when we doing sprints, I push him really, really hard, but he can't do the level of things that they could do because they're just smaller men. You know what I mean? They're lugging around more mass, less mass. So when I say that, I just have to be mindful that he is a 250-pound man, and I can't expect him to do things that, 154 and 160, and I got a kid that's 122. I can't expect him to do the things that they do. So you see what I'm saying? So I got to be a little bit more patient as far as bringing along his conditioning. But there's been a huge difference from this camp and the last camp. He's really, really pushed himself to get in shape. And working out with them actually benefits him because if he could hold their workouts, against a heavyweight, he should be okay. So I've seen. I mean, he's probably improved maybe 15 to 20% as far as his conditioning from the first camp I had him to this one. So he's coming along pretty good.
Can I ask a question with heavyweight? So how tall? Nessa's gonna laugh. How tall is he? Your heavyweight? You said he's 250, but how tall is he? Sorry?
He is about. His name's Cassius Chaney, and he's about 6'5".
Oh, okay.
He's about 6'5".
So do you? So 250. Do you think? I know people always say that heavyweights don't need to make weight because they're heavyweights, but do you find that there are optimum weights even within being a heavyweight? Like being 250 maybe cool, being 260 maybe better, maybe worse, being 245 may not be good. Like do you like diminishes punch resistance or that? Because I'm seeing this with heavyweights at the moment, that some heavyweights are going from being 250 to 230 and then they can't take a punch or their power doesn't carry with them. How do you gauge that within a camp, or is it just kind of like a gamble that when you put them in the fight, you hope that the weight that they're fighting at is an optimum weight for them and their punch power carries through and their punch resistance is also matched equally as well? That was too many questions.
That's a really good question. That's a real good question, because they don't have to make a weight, but they definitely do have an optimum weight. And as far as their conditioning and their ability to take a punch, you don't want to obviously just make them too skinny and lose water and fat on their brain. And obviously you don't want to make them too big, you know what I mean? So they won't be able to move around as fluidly. So that's a really good question. And he does have an optimum weight that I actually told him that I think that he should fight at. And, we're working to get towards that point. I don't want to say what it is because I don't know if his opponents will be listening. And if he don't come in at that weight, they'll think that he's not at his optimum weight. But you're exactly right. I actually told him that, he was far off of it his last fight. And I told him there's a weight that I think that he would be best at. And I looked at we did his body fat and things like that. So we're working towards that. So that's a great question.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the answer.
So I see you always talk boxing, and this will be my last one. We all know you talk a lot of boxing on Twitter. Would you be making a prediction for this fight, or because of your relationship, you prefer to stay on the fence? What you think?
Porter Crawford.
You know it.
You talking about the Porter versus Crawford fight?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right, let me ask you this. Does Porter not get knocked out? Crawford's on this knockout streak.
You know what? I don't know. Wow. I really don't know. If Blood Crawford is a unique fighter. And I talked to Kyrone about sparring him. I'm actually really, really cool with Crawford's coaches. Red Spikes, and especially Red, but I'm cool with Bomac and Red. So I'm cool with Crawford's coaches, and I never met Terrence before. Obviously, I'm cool with Sean, so I don't really, I'm gonna leave the predictions alone. But anybody could be clipped, and that's, you know what I mean. I hear some guys in the media say, "Well, this guy can't be hurt," and that guy. That's all bullshit. Anybody can be hurt, bro. Anybody could go to sleep. Sean could clip him. Anybody could be knocked out. I would never say that Crawford can't knock Sean out, because Sean jumps in. And if you're jumping in like that and the punch catches you on the point of the chin, it's almost like a head-on collision with two cars. You know what I mean? Two cars are going down the street, even if they're going 30 miles an hour, in the head-on collision, everybody gets hurt because of the impact of the way it's coming. Crawford's such an accurate and focused puncher. He keeps his eye directly on the target when he hits you. And Kyrone was telling me, he's like, he can't hurt me because I'm a bigger guy, but he can hit you on the sweet spot and make you feel certain things. He understands how to change up the speed of his punches.
How tall is Kyrone? Ain't he like 5'10" only? Maybe even 5'8"?
Kyrone is 5'10".
Okay. And walk around weight as well? I'm just trying to gauge it because, I mean, not you, but for whoever does know or doesn't know, Porter was a very heavy amateur
Well,
spar.
that's why they hired Kyrone.
Exactly.
That's
So
why they hired
I'm
Kyrone,
just trying
because
to
they
figure
wanted a
out, can
bigger
he?
guy. Than Ken.
I'm just trying to figure out if Kyrone can't get hurt, will Porter get hurt? Being this bigger man.
Well, it's a different fight though, Ness. You talking about 16-ounce gloves and headgear, and you talking about 10-ounce gloves and no headgear. So it's totally different. You know what I mean? It's just different circumstances as far as that's concerned. But Kyrone did say he could punch. He definitely said that Bud could punch, and he said that he can hit you on sweet spots that you don't see, and those kind of punches affect you a little bit differently.
Now,
so he was very complimentary of like the way he punched. He was like he punches really unique, where the punch doesn't seem like it's coming fast, and then boom, it'll like speed up in the process right through midair, and it'll hit you like he knows how to hit you on your chin, hit you behind your ear, hit you on the temple. He's extremely accurate. So Kyrone was really, really impressed with how he punches and how he delivers his shots.
Let me ask you, did they call you to get the services of Kyrone, or did they contact Kyrone straight directly?
They talk with me.
Oh, okay. Because I'm just wondering if they were this strategic. Like, I know Kyrone was brought in for Broner to help Broner get ready for Porter. So I'm wondering, was Bud's team that strategic? Like, this guy's familiar with the style or mimicking the style. Did they know any knowledge of that already?
I'm sure they did. I mean, a good team knows things, so I'm sure that they did. But you have to ask them.
For sure.
But I'm sure that they probably know.
Well, Coach, man, I won't hold you. Appreciate your time. Nothing shaking for Cassius, though. Y'all just still working, right?
He actually does have a date, man. He's supposed to be fighting a guy named George Arias, but they floating around with the dates. They haven't made a public announcement yet, but there should be an announcement pretty soon. But the guy is from New York, George Arias, heavyweight from New York. So we'll see if Main Events or Triller or whoever announce the date. But we're working, right? Actually, I'm sitting outside the gym. I'm ready to walk in and meet him right now and finish
Can
working.
Can I just sneak one last question in, please, Coach? Was you impressed with Benavidez at all?
Yes, he's a hell of a fighter. I'm not going to make no excuses because we took the fight on 2 weeks' notice. That's not his fault. He can fight. He's really, really good, man. He's really fluid. He got fast hands. He got good timing. He's mean. He has a really good punch selection. He's a hell of a fighter. He's going to be a handful for whoever fights him.
Would he be a handful for Canelo?
Sure.
Could he beat Canelo?
Canelo's just a man.
Could he beat Canelo, though?
I wouldn't pick him to beat Canelo, honestly. Well, my honest answer, I wouldn't pick him. But he's not over his head. He'll test Canelo's stamina.
Why would you pick him?
I just think Canelo has the advantage right now. I think that, Canelo is operating at like a master level right now. Him, Crawford, Usyk, those guys are operating at a level that most guys aren't in the world right now. So I think Canelo has the edge. There's shots and there's things you could do to David that Canelo would be able to exploit. But he'd give Canelo a rough night's work. He definitely wouldn't be over his head. I think he would be very competitive, but I wouldn't pick him to win the fight right this second.
Got you. Thank you.
All right, Coach, man, we appreciate you, man. Best of luck.
Yo, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like, subscribe, and share. As always, if you want to support us to the next level, head over to the patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice. We have tons of exclusive from Border Wars and Title, betting shows, the list goes on and on and on. But in addition to that, if you guys have questions for fighters, trainers, and promoters, this is where you can submit them. We will run out, get these questions answered, and put it back on the show just for you guys. Appreciate it. Peace.